My name's Katie Anderson, and I'm here with Local Food Plus. We are a nonprofit charity that originally started in Ontario in 2006, and this is an organization that's growing here. And the organization's mission or goals are to help grow and establish local food systems. And one of the tools that we use is local sustainable certification. But we're also versed in helping to actually change food systems through supply chain and with purchasing changes and things like that. So I came onto the scene with this organization, or this working group, that was working on the local sustainable food procurement pilot. It's a project that's been established with the province of Manitoba, and we're sort of figuring out the details of that right now. But the original working group involved some folks from Food Matters. It's Paul and Stefan, and then also Brendan Reimer from SEDNet, and Sean Loney, who's involved with Build and other things like that. They were all part of the original working group who worked on some policy documents with the province for the last couple of years. And we've finally gotten to a stage of actually working out the details of the pilot right now. And we, just so you know, some of these things that are in the presentation, there's still some discussions about how exactly it's going to look when the pilot lands on the ground, but we can talk. I'll let you know about that as we go along. So the focus of Local Food Plus, just to give you the background, we do work with farmers to help support local sustainable certification and practices, but we also work with the market side and purchasers to encourage them to purchase more local sustainable food. So just to give you this as well, we're working with a definition of local that essentially is food products raised, grown, and produced here in Manitoba, and focused hopefully on businesses that are selling within the borders of Manitoba as well. And our definition of sustainability is food produced in a way that actively reduces or eliminates pesticide use, treats animals well, conserves soil and water, protects wildlife habitat, provides safe and fair working conditions, reduces energy use, and is sold locally wherever possible. So this certainly is a very complementary standard to organic. It's just that we are also acknowledging other than pesticide use and some of those things, we're also acknowledging the local component and some other considerations for sustainability. So what we're trying to do, what we've been asked to facilitate with the province, or for the province in the next slide, is a procurement standard. So we're trying to figure out the right program to encourage Manitoba-funded operators or purchasers, like departments of the government, to actually procure local sustainable food. Not just to have a program for consumers or other folks to learn about it, for them to actually purchase it themselves for their own institutional use. And that is the focus of this pilot program, is to work with institutions. And we're trying to set up a standard that the 100% or the gold standard is local and sustainable. So that could be a local Food Plus certification or a Manitoba grown organic product. But that to make the program accessible, and as people are learning and changing their purchasing practices, we're honoring things that are local but conventional, or that are sustainable but like in that they might be organic from other places other than Manitoba. So when we get into the details of the pilot and we're tracking and measuring the food that purchasers are purchasing, we want to be measuring both the locality and the sustainability of those items. So this is very possible because there are local institutions like the University of Winnipeg that are doing this now, where without a program, without a pilot program or provincial funding or anything like that, they've just set out a mandate that we are going to set up a business that operates on the purchase of local and sustainable food. And they have done this extremely successfully. They operate 3 cafeterias. They offer residents food. They support their elements, the dining room here, the major dining hall here on Portage. And they also have become one of the most in-demand caterers in Winnipeg. And they source nearly 50% local sustainable food. So we know that when we're talking with the province about working with different institutions, like Manitoba Lotteries, for example, is somebody who's in our pilot group, that it's possible to aim high, and that we don't have to run around the bottom at 5% or 10% of local sustainable procurement, but we can aim high because it is possible. And just to give you a little background as well, Local Food Plus has been doing this type of supply chain support in Ontario since 2006. So at the University of Toronto, we started with 1 location at 10%. which is now at 25%. And every year they're adding new facilities, new cafeterias onto that roster of who's participating. We have also worked with the City of Markham, and they started it in 2008, and they're already at a 25% capacity of purchasing local sustainable food. And same with the region of Halton. In their second year, they've already reached 17%. So it's being done elsewhere, so it can be done here. Just to give you a little bit more details about what we're proposing and what we're working on with the province, so that right now, from now until March or April of this coming year, we're tracking and measuring the purchasers of about 7 pilot members. So we're looking at just looking at what they're already doing to find out what's already in the system and to identify some of those opportunities or low-hanging fruit. And then what we're going to do in about 5 months' time or 4 months' time is to identify what is a reasonable target to start with. So when we ask more purchasers to come on board for the next 2 years while we're testing this new program out, we want to set a voluntary target. So say we said it was 10%, that any purchaser, government or otherwise, who wants to come on board and work with us to help change the system can aim for this, say 10% or 15% over the next 2 years of local sustainable food. And then, of course, with the goal down the road to actually have that be a mandatory target, ideally in 2 years from now. But these are some of the details that are being worked out right now with the province. And so we do have a number of pilot purchasers who are already on board with us. We're working with Manitoba Lotteries. Obviously, University of Winnipeg is a great organization to be working with because they'll help us learn quickly about all the opportunities in the system. Providence College is quite interested in participating, as well as the University of Manitoba. And beside those two, the Sodexo and Aramark, those are the large food service supply organizations that are contractors that they have contracts with now. So those organizations are going to be part of the big conversations with us about figuring out how to negotiate existing contracts for food service provision and changing some of those procurement relationships. Manitoba Housing and Procurement Services with the province of Manitoba are also evaluating their ability to participate in the pilot right now. We don't have a healthcare facility, but that is something that we're actively looking for as well to participate in the pilot portion. And so just what we're proposing to do, Local Food Plus, is in this relationship, not just to provide a certification to potential farmers, but to actually help support the whole process of gathering this data and working with the province to help set realistic targets and the bigger picture supply system change. So we're going to be managing the data and tracking through this audit process. We're going to be assisting all these purchasers with the tracking and sourcing of new items and supporting them through this change. Again, those food service contractors like Aramark and Sodexo, there's a lot of sort of back and forth and negotiating how to adjust those relationships to allow for more local sustainable procurement. And we're working with a provincial advisory team, so folks from some different departments like MAFRE and Manitoba Housing and Healthy Living. And the goal really is to promote and support both local Food Plus certification or local sustainable certification and Manitoba Organic certification in the provinces to grow that sustainable food economy here in the province. So does anybody have any questions? I feel like that was really a lot of data dump in 5 minutes. But